What's going on, everybody? We're going to get started here in just a second. I'm looking up how to pronounce somebody's name, and I can't find a video on how to pronounce this guy's name at all. So give me just a couple seconds, and then we're going to get started. We're going to talk transfer portal news. We're going to talk recruiting news because there's actually stuff to talk about on the recruiting trail. Pretty excited about that. So stay tuned. Drop your comments down in the chat, and we'll get to them all here in just a second. What's going on, Steven? What's going on? Tell everybody in the Discord to get their ass here in the chat. So, all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started today, guys. We're going to have a little bit of a different format today for the podcast. Not a normal live. I need to sit down and record a couple of videos today. And I said, you know what? Let's get a live stream going on so that you all can watch this live, interact in the chat, and then I'll go through and cut these videos up individually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cycle through just the news of Ben Arbuckle, the hire. We're going to go into recruiting trail, and then we're going to end with the transfer portal. I will segment all three of these up into individual videos, so if you have to drop for a second and come back, you guys will be able to find those on the YouTube channel here over the next day or so. I'll probably try to get both videos uploaded within the next couple of days. So if you missed a segment or you missed something, you want to go back and watch it, I will have those uploaded as videos as well, or you can just come back and watch the full live stream. So appreciate you all tuning in. Steven's in the chat. We got Info AM in the chat. Boomer Sooner Baby. And yeah, of course you can send super chats for questions. That should be open, Stevie. That should be open to do super chats. But let's talk about this. So you have Ben Arbuckle being hired as Oklahoma's offensive coordinator. And Oklahoma fans now, you are really asking the question, right? Like, is Jackson Arnold going to stay? Is Oklahoma going after a Mateer? What's this quarterback room actually going to look like? So we're going to get into that this week. Not really a whole lot of news, though, in terms of what quarterbacks are going to stay in the room. John Mateer entering the portal. So we're not going to touch that today. If you guys have questions, we'll answer it, but nothing new there. So let's talk recruiting. Recruiting is where I think fans are going to have some interest because Oklahoma had some news today. They offered a 3-star quarterback out of Lehigh High School in Utah, which, if you guys are familiar with that high school, I believe that was the high school of Austin Peay. But Jet New got the offer from Oklahoma. And if you went out and you checked him out on 247 Sports, you saw that he got a crystal ball expert prediction from Blair Anugo, and it was listed as a 10 in the confidence meter, meaning Blair thinks this is going to happen. And a lot of Oklahoma fans have been asking, what's going to happen with the 2025 quarterback since Kevin Sperry decommitted? This is potentially going to be the guy. And what happens next with Oklahoma and guys out of Lehigh High School, because they've had some guys come out of there over the past couple of years, maybe Oklahoma can start getting into the running there. So what we're looking at, Jet New is a 6'2", 185-pound quarterback. And although, again, I'm still under the belief that Oklahoma's likely not going to see the 2025 quarterback actually play meaningful snaps here. But if you happen to lose a guy like Brandon Zerbrug or Jackson Arnold, or I don't think Michael Hawkins is leaving, but a Michael Hawkins to the transfer portal, Jet New comes in here and adds depth into that room. So you look at it, we're going to just go look at the career, not this past year. Career 6,000 yards passed. He has 65 touchdowns. He has about a 62% completion percentage. He can use his legs just a little bit. 58 carries, 66 yards. Not really anything that you're impressed with, though. He's going to be more of a pocket passing quarterback. So Jet New gets the offer. Confidence meter of 10 from Blair. That sounds good for Oklahoma. This is a guy that's committed to Oklahoma State, though. So maybe we can dunk on Oklahoma State this year because they didn't want to do Bedlam with us this year, right? So, yeah. All right. Topher's in the chat. Stevie, is Jet better than Sperry? I have not got a chance to actually watch Jet's film yet. We'll probably dive into that here later this week. But obviously, this is significant because you lost the quarterback in this class, and everybody's kind of looking at where the direction Oklahoma's going to go. This is probably Ben Arbuckle hire, guys. Like, Ben Arbuckle probably wanted this guy. That's what happened. So, all right, let's talk about a specific 5-star because that's really, I'm like 99% sure. Y'all saw recruiting updates and y'all said, okay, PG going to be talking about some 5-star offensive tackle. And you're right. We're going to talk to Michael Fasusi. So, every Oklahoma fan under the damn sun, like, you guys are, I don't even know the right word for this. Like, everybody is immersed in this recruitment. And Michael Fasusi takes the visit to Texas, goes to Texas A&M, nothing new, there. The A&M visit was good. All right, I've talked to some people in and around Fasusi. The A&M visit was good. They did a good job. And I don't believe it's enough, though, to flip Michael Fasusi. You guys got to remember, we've been following this recruitment for a while. I don't like to toot my own horn, but if anybody's asking about credibility, I'm the only one that called Michael Fasusi almost a year ago to end up at the University of Oklahoma. I don't think he flips at this point. It appears that Bill Bedenbaugh will be retained on this staff. And for Oklahoma, that was really the only thing you needed to do. You just needed to retain Bill Bedenbaugh. So this offensive line class for Oklahoma, it is a strong offensive line class. There was a little bit of rumbling that maybe Lamont Rogers would commit to Oklahoma as well. If you guys remember, we talked about that previously early in the cycle because, well, Michael Fasusi, Lamont Rogers, Sean Hutton, they're all buds. There might have been a desire to play with each other. Lamont Rogers, though, ends up committing to A&M, so I think we can pretty well put those rumors to bed. But Michael Fasusi, this is going to be a recruitment that does not end tomorrow. I think a lot of people are looking at this National Signing Day or whatever we're calling it and saying, well, if we just get to then, like, we'll lock Fasusi up. No, like, Texas is going to continue to push for Fasusi. Do not discredit that. I think A&M at this point, they're not going to be as aggressive because they have their 5-star in Lamont Rogers, but Michael Fasusi is going to be a target for Texas until Michael Fasusi attends a class at Oklahoma. So just keep that in mind. I think Michael Fasusi sticks with Oklahoma, but you're not, listen, this ain't going to end tomorrow. You're not going to hear these rumors. You're not going to hear any of this end. Texas is on a tear right now. They just got a 5-star cornerback. They're trying to get Michael Terry in their class. I think Michael Terry will end up going to Nebraska. They might lose Jamie French to Florida, but Texas is trying to go for the number 1 class in the country, and they need an offensive tackle in this class, so they're going to be aggressive. Now, you look at the rest of the class, right? And you've obviously seen the decommitments in Grayson Harris. You saw the decommitments in Marcus Harris. OU fans are wondering, well, what's going on? Listen, this is just Oklahoma making business moves at this point. Like, if you are a donor to Oklahoma, you have season tickets to anything, you probably got an email from the athletic department from a statement from Joe Castiglione talking about revenue sharing today. Like, this is going to be a thing that Oklahoma is going to continue to talk about. They're going to continue to adapt a little bit. And you know what? Sometimes people aren't going to like it. So at the end of the day, you look at it, Grayson Harris, Marcus Harris, they weren't in the staff's plans anymore to move forward. The staff wants people that can play now. And I think that's what you're going to kind of see going on in the future. So Cortez Mills, it sounds like he's going to sign, but man, let me tell you, I wouldn't touch this recruitment with a 10-foot pole. Nebraska's offering an absurd amount of money, and a lot of people still think Cortez Mills could flip. If you asked for my opinion right now, I don't think I could honestly give you a solid, good opinion on whether or not Cortez Mills sticks in this class. What I can tell you is Oklahoma is going to be aggressive in the transfer portal with wide receivers. There are lots of really good wide receivers in the transfer portal, and we're going to talk about those here soon. All right, let's jump to the chat here. Topher says, Boomer. David, what's up? Good evening to you, Stevie. So you're going to take a cigar and Hawaii trip after Fasusi signs. Hey, if somebody wants to fund a vacation for me and my wife, we would love to take a vacation. I just don't get paid enough at my actual real job because, unfortunately, YouTube does not pay me enough to go on vacation. Yeah. So somebody wants to pay for my vacation and send me to Hawaii, I will happily take it. There's a 17-day cruise that I would like to take. It's like $1,400. Yes, Rogers did commit to A&M. That was yesterday. Duck, you said, I'm here. Dinner with me took longer than expected. Hey, I moved this live stream just for you, my guy. I moved it just for you. All right, David, you said, I think we are gearing up for the portal. All right, I think this is probably a good transition. Okay, before we transition to transfer portal, this show is only going to go as long as you guys are in the chat. Like I said, I'm really only doing this because I needed to record 2 videos, and I figured, hey, why not get on here and talk to y'all while I record the videos? So I'm going to head in transfer portal. If you guys got questions, got to throw them in the chat. And this stream's only going to go as long as you guys got questions. So you said, love your show, PG. You heard anyone on the corners? You heard anyone? Are you talking about on the recruiting trail or transfer portal? And I'm assuming you're talking about cornerbacks. Let me know. Jump in the chat and I'll let you know. I know you did. I appreciate it. All right. John Mateer. Okay. I'm not including. Well, I know what, I got to include John Mateer in the portal updates. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Question for recruiting. Anything on 2026? Nothing yet. I know we have an interview coming out with Jaden O'Neal. Jaden O'Neal talks about a couple 2026 prospects that he's wanting to go after. Obviously, Caden Jones is one of those guys. So 2026 targets, I don't think you're going to see anything yet. It's too early. Ben Arbuckle needs to go out, identify his offensive guys that he wants to be able to go out there and grab. Obviously, we need to see what's going to happen with tight end coach. We need to see, is a guy like Emmett Jones retained on the staff? I think there's still a lot of questions, and I know a lot of people probably saw what was discussed about how Brenton Venables is not, changing the staff right now. That's because you need these guys for the bowl game. And honestly, Joe John Finley needs to call the bowl game, right? If Emmett Jones is not going to be retained, he probably needs to coach in that bowl game. Like, people need to see what these guys can do all the way up to that point. And there's going to be plenty of jobs open. So, I don't think we're going to see any staff changes probably until the end of the bowl game. So, all right. Let's talk about the transfer portal, guys, because Oklahoma is potentially going to be looking for a quarterback. There's been so many rumors that Jackson Arnold is going to be portaling. And I'm not sure if, dang it, Stevie, I left your stupid comment up there. We got to start this over again. All right. We got to talk the transfer portal here. Oklahoma's going to need a quarterback this upcoming season because a lot of people think Jackson Arnold is going to hit the transfer portal. And, there's a name out there that's pretty intriguing to everybody. John Mateer. Now, John Mateer is not officially in the transfer portal. I know a lot of people saw the transfer portal college football account. I don't know how legitimate that account is. I know sometimes they do get some info and put guys' info out there when they hit the portal, but usually there's like a statement attached with it. I have not actually seen John Mateer hit the portal. If Mateer did hit the portal, though, I want Oklahoma fans to understand this. It's not sold, written in stone, that Oklahoma will get Mateer. Teams like Miami, Auburn, USC, Michigan, they're all going to need quarterbacks. Those are all big-time programs, especially Auburn and Michigan. They have true freshmen they really like coming into the program next season, and they would like to redshirt them. So they're looking for guys that they can maybe really rent for 1 year before those guys go to the league. So if a John Mateer enters the portal, I would not assume it is written in stone. And as long as Jackson Arnold is at the University of Oklahoma, I am not 100% sure that you even can consider John Mateer wanting to come to Oklahoma, having to compete for the starting role with Jackson Arnold. So that's going to be it when it comes to quarterback transfer portal. But I got some names. I've got some names that you all need to be bookmarking, keeping an eye on. And the first one's going to be, because we're not going to get into the wide receiver yet. I've got some wide receiver news for y'all in the transfer portal. But I think we need to talk about a tight end, because Oklahoma's probably going to be looking for at least maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 tight ends in the portal. Did you guys see a specific Big 12 tight end hit the portal? Jump in the comments and let me know. Did you see a specific Big 12 tight end hit the portal this week? If you didn't, the name is Jackson Bowers. Jackson Bowers is a 6'5", 225-pound tight end out of Mesa, Arizona. He was a part of that 2023 class. He enrolled at BYU, and he's now in the portal. And I think Jackson Bowers in Oklahoma are potentially going to be a match made in heaven a little bit. I have an inside source that tells me Oklahoma is interested here. Not saying Oklahoma's going to go out there and land this guy, but this is one that if you're an Oklahoma fan and you're intrigued about what they're going to do at the tight end position, this is the name you want to watch. Now, before we get to the wide receivers, we got to talk one more. Actually, no. You know what? We're just going to jump straight to wide receivers. There's a name in the 2024 class at wide receiver that I really loved. I thought Oklahoma had a shot for towards the end of that 2024 cycle. And ultimately, he ended up signing with the Big 12 school. He was their best recruit of all time. And I'm talking about one Micah Hudson. Now, he was a former 5-star plus wide receiver. And this was a recruit that was wanted by everybody. Texas pushed hard. A&M pushed hard. Oklahoma pushed hard. Micah Hudson and Emmett Jones have a good relationship. If Emmett Jones is retained at the University of Oklahoma, I expect Oklahoma right now to be a front runner for Micah Hudson. I'm not going to divulge into what I've been told, but Micah Hudson in Oklahoma, there's a very good shot here. Very good shot. Don't give your hopes up, but I'm feeling pretty good about this right now. This past season, he only had 8 receptions and 123 yards, so he was kind of a non-factor for Texas Tech. But Micah Hudson, when he was on the recruiting trail, visited Oklahoma like 2 or 3 times. He'd went to Texas Tech 5 times. His lone official visit was to Tech. He had been to A&M 6 times, and he'd been to Texas 5 times. I'm told Texas is going to be a pretty bit of a non-factor in this recruitment. So we don't have to worry about them. The only Texas school that I think you really have to pay attention to, that you have to watch out for, is Texas A&M. Now, you're going to see Tennessee try to get involved because I think they're losing Dante Thornton this year. You're going to see schools like Georgia and Alabama get involved, but playing time is a big factor for Micah Hudson, and that is something that I think Oklahoma is able to go out here and offer him. So if you're an Oklahoma fan, not only are you keeping an eye out for Jackson Bowers, but you are also keeping an eye out for Micah Hudson. This is a recruitment, though, it's not going to end anytime soon. This recruitment's going to go a while, so do not expect the Micah Hudson sweepstakes to end tomorrow. Now, another wide receiver that if you're an Oklahoma fan, I think you need to be watching. He's a junior out of Florida Atlantic University. He's 5'11", 174 pounds. He had 62 receptions this year, 1,172 yards and 12 touchdowns. That is Eric Rivers. Now, I know a team like Tennessee, I think, is one of the teams that is in on Eric Rivers initially here. Eric Rivers is a guy where I think you kind of use him kind of in the manner that you're using Deion Burks. You have a Nick Anderson, you have a Jaden Gibson supposedly returning this offseason. I don't think you're going to the portal and trying to get wide receivers with size. You're trying to get guys that can be great slot receivers and great guys that can kind of just be those speedy receivers when you need to run those go routes. So I'm looking at Eric Rivers and I'm saying, okay, this could be a target for Oklahoma. He's been very good this past season, and his career really only played in 2023, 32 receptions, 343 yards there, 2 touchdowns. This was his breakout year. I believe he's only going to have 1 year of eligibility left, but this is a name that I'm watching for Oklahoma on the wide receiver side of things. Now, when you move to the defensive side of the ball, there's a couple names that really intrigue me. One of the names that entered the portal yesterday, and I know some fans are going to go, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're talking about this. But one of the names that was thrown to me, and I was literally said just like this, and I have it up right here. You have to watch out for this guy in Oklahoma. There is serious interest between the two parties. It's going to be Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, the former 5-star defensive lineman that, if you guys remember, in that 2022 class, he was committed to the University of Oklahoma. Now, Hayes Fawcett tweeted out the graphic that Gabriel was hitting the transfer portal, and that he has 3 years of eligibility left. This is why I actually kind of believe the text that I got. Because if you're Todd Bates, you're obviously not hitting the ball out of the park right now with guys in the 2025 class. So I imagine if you're going to go to the portal and you're going to take a defensive lineman, you're looking for fatties. You're looking for guys that can play in the 3 technique. And you're also looking for guys with multiple years of eligibility. I think Gabriel Brownlow Dindy fits all of those potential check the boxes for Oklahoma. So if you look at his recruitment, remember he ended up flipping to A&M from Oklahoma. How many times has he been here, right? Following the unofficial visits is always a great thing to do. He'd been to Oklahoma like 3 or 4 times. Okay? Watch this one. I don't think we're guaranteed to have a David Hicks at the portal. I think David Hicks could hit the portal. I don't think it's guaranteed. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy would be a phenomenal pickup for Oklahoma. I mean, shoot, look at what Overton did for Alabama this year. So there is another defensive line target that I saw hit the portal, and I said it would be interesting if Oklahoma could go out there and get him. I have not heard any noise around this, but it's just one that, again, just like Bauer. Bowers, I hear noise. But just like some of the other guys, I'm just kind of keeping a close eye on, watching to see, okay, does Oklahoma offer him? Do they try to get him here on campus? And that's going to be Curtis Perry, the 6'2", 280-pound defensive lineman out of Virginia Tech. Didn't have any production this year, but again, has multiple years of eligibility. I think has the ability to put on, 20 or 30 pounds. This could be another target that Todd Bates is going to go after. I mean, he's from the state of Alabama. Todd Bates has connections there. I mean, right now, there's no intel supporting it. It's just a name that if you're an Oklahoma fan, I think it's worth keeping your eye out on. Remember, not all of these they're going to be intel around, but I think it's worth it. James Williams. Now, this is one that I was I looked at and I said, okay, this one intrigues me a little bit. Originally from Parkville, Missouri, though. So I don't know if Missouri's going to get involved, but I would imagine a kid from Missouri in the transfer portal, Mizzou's going to try to go out there and get. 6'6", 250 pounds, kid's a monster. Now, he's going to be more of an edge rusher, not an interior defensive lineman. But James Williams is a guy that I would bet Miguel Chavis is going to mess around with. He's going to mess around and find out whether or not he can go out there and get a guy like that. So keep your eyes peeled for him. But there are 2 linebackers that Oklahoma fans need to pay attention to. These are 2 guys that Oklahoma is for sure potentially flirting with. Stephon Thompson, transfer linebacker from Nebraska. Only 7 solo tackles this year, 27 totals, 1 fumble recovery, 2 pass breakups. Remember, you're losing Danny Stutzman. And although your linebacker core looks super bright for the future, you would imagine Oklahoma is going to go out there and try to nab themselves a couple really decent linebackers to kind of help anchor that position group together. So looking at Stephon Thompson, and then you're also looking at this guy as well, Makai, and I believe it's Gabayer? He's a junior, but another guy, really high production from him. 49 total tackles, 20 solos, 1 sack. This guy kind of reminds me of, although he's a linebacker, he kind of reminds me of like a hybrid edge rusher, kind of like what you've seen with Deshaun McCullough. But he's got 3 pass breakups, 2 fumble recoveries. And I mentioned these 2 guys as people we really need to pay attention to, not only because there's smoke with Oklahoma, but these are guys that have played in the Big Ten. So they've played really good competition. These guys can play at a high level. They can translate to SEC ball. So that's going to be it for transfer portal news. I think this is a great start to the transfer portal. We know Oklahoma is going to go play ball, and we know Oklahoma wants to go out there and get guys that can immediately play next year, whether it's on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. So Topher makes a good point here before we go about transfer portal. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy is an OU legacy, right? I think there's a lot of people that expect him to be here. All right, guys. That's going to be it for the transfer portal section, unless you guys have questions. So jump in the chat. Let me know what you guys think. Michael, you say, you need starters, not reserves or backups. I disagree with this. Yes, we need starters, but Oklahoma needs guys in there that can go in there and build some depth on the offensive side of the ball, because it's great to have starters, but what happens if they all get hurt, just like what happened this year, right? So you go out there, maybe you can get a couple of these 5'11" wide receivers that have had really high production amongst college football, and they could be good potential options for you if a guy like Nick Anderson or Jaden Gibson get hurt. Remember, a lot of these wide receivers Oklahoma currently has in this room, they're injury prone. They have a history to get hurt. So, all right. Do-rag all day. I'm ready to get hurt again. Are you talking about David Hicks? You wanting to get hurt again with David Hicks? Because yeah, that might happen. Just put your hopes up that he will come in. Duck, I know you're saying let Hicks go, but there's been some interesting conversations about David Hicks. He doesn't fit what Mike Elko wants to do at A&M. He doesn't have very much time left, guys. Like, this guy is a guy that potentially needs to hit the portal and find a new spot, whether it's Oklahoma or somewhere else. Now, if David Hicks hits the portal, it's going to be open season. Everybody's going to want him. Super talented dude. But I know David Stone was, I think, friends with him before. So, I mean, maybe there's a connection there. Maybe Stone can get him here. A&M fans said Brownlow Dindy got passed up by a 3-star freshman. It doesn't seem like he's as good as Overton. I mean, listen, OU fans say stuff like that all the time about players that hit the portal, right? I think that's objective. If Todd Bates wants Brownlow Dindy, I think you trust Todd Bates. Go look at Dominic Williams, right? Go look at what he's done on the defensive line. You should have a little bit more trust that Todd Bates knows what he's doing, and if he decides to take a guy like GBD, that it's going to work out. Frightening. Thanks for showing up. Your team's doing really well this year. My team was trash. So I wish Texas the worst of luck going into the playoffs. Dang, a 3. Listen, yeah, I mean, it's 3-star freshman quarterback, but not every quarterback you're going to get is going to be a starter, right? Like, what if Quinn Ewers decides to come back next year? Frightening. Do you really think Arch Manning's going to stay around for that? Just saying. Got to have some depth there. You're hearing Carter might hit the portal. Carter. Who? Carter Nelson? Barrett Carter? Who are you talking about? Who are we talking about? Dindy and Bears. Oh, you're talking about the USC defensive lineman. No, I don't want him. Don't want the USC defensive lineman. Okay. Any kicker/punter news? Stevie? No. We got Liam Evans. That's good enough for me. Ole Miss got Princely and Nolan last year, and we got to chase 0 production dudes, 6-6 incoming. Listen, man, like, Nolan really didn't have a ton of production when he went to USC or Ole Miss. You know that, right? Like, a lot of people were starting to think Nolan was a bust before he went to Ole Miss. So I wouldn't say that Oklahoma chasing 0 production dudes is going to make Oklahoma bust. Like all that is just saying Todd Bates might see something in there that he's able to unlock that another defensive line coach couldn't. Again, Todd Bates has proven to you guys when he was at Clemson and now at Oklahoma, he can find dudes. He can develop dudes. So I think it's important for us to look at this and say, okay, I trust Todd Bates. If he wants a guy, even if he doesn't have hardly any production, that this is a guy to go out there and play. Because you got to also remember, Alabama's defensive line depth is tremendous, right? So what if a guy like, I don't know, this guy is not rumored to hit the portal, by the way. I'm just throwing a name out there. What if a Jordan Renaud hits the portal? Well, obviously, he's not going to have a ton of production. Are you going to say he's not worth taking? Of course you're not going to say that. But he could get lost in the shuffle of Alabama defensive linemen. So I think it also really depends on how deep is that room. Because if the room is really deep, they're not going to have a lot of production. Sometimes it's easy to get overlooked and passed up, especially when there's a lot of 5-star defensive linemen in the room. Okay, do you think Ben Arbuckle's performance as an OC will translate well to the SEC? So, Kyle, I don't know if you got a chance to tune into Jay's stream yesterday when the offensive coordinator got hired or got announced. I can't talk. When the offensive coordinator hire got announced initially, I said I feel indifferent about the hire of Ben Arbuckle. And I think I'm on the train of I'm going to have to see Ben Arbuckle work before I believe it's going to work. Because we say he's an air raid offense. He runs more of like a air raid with a mix of a pro-style offense a little bit, right? we just haven't seen air raid work. So if he's going to run mixes of air raid into his offense, I am curious if that's going to work at Oklahoma. We have not seen Oklahoma be successful with that in the playoffs against SEC teams. Hence, look at the bashing we took from LSU or the bashing we took from Oklahoma. And I know Jay the other day said, well, look at the defense that Oklahoma had at time. And that's true. But there were also times where Oklahoma had a hard time getting their offense going in some of those games. So, maybe with the right personnel, it could work. But I think it's just one of those things I think we're all going to temper expectations, and we're just going to have to see Ben Arbuckle's offense in action and actually be successful against the SEC before we all just jump on and say, hey, he's the next great mind in college football on the offensive side. So Paisley, I just talked about this. So you can go back and watch it in the video, or you can rewatch this over again. But just to briefly, what I said is I think he's a take for Oklahoma from what I'm hearing. JUCO players, haven't heard anything there. You would actually kind of see some of them on the recruiting page because some of those JUCO players will hit there. Will we get the Kansas State tight ends coach? So there's been some rumors that Lepak might end up coming to Oklahoma, but again, they're just rumors. I haven't heard anything solid, and I don't think we're going to see anybody on the coaching staff outside of Ben Arbuckle actually get hired until maybe after the bowl game, wherever that bowl game is. So hopefully that bowl game comes early in December for Oklahoma. Okay, Duck, what other questions did you ask? I know you said you asked about Micah Hudson, but what other questions do you have? Redrop those because there's some other stuff in here. I think I've already moved on past some of those other ones. So just to redrop them in here. Jalen Humphrey. I have not heard any news on Jalen Humphrey in Oklahoma actually being a thing. I want that to be a thing because Jalen Humphrey would be an awesome corner for Oklahoma. But I was told the other day that Brent Venables had a conversation with Jay Valai that he's not going to be taking any corners under 6 foot in the transfer portal. So for what it's worth, if they're under 6 foot, I feel like they'd have to be just some absolute stud. But the problem is if they don't have some size to them, they're not going to be able to compete with some of these SEC wide receivers. So PG, any OU players that went to the portal that you're hearing, it's time to be hurt. Stevie, I am actually not going to talk about players potentially entering the portal from Oklahoma. I know of a couple, but I'm not going to talk about it on live just because it's not my news to share. We'll talk about it in the Discord, and so you can hit me up there where it's kind of not just out there to the whole world. We'll talk about it in Discord. But not on the YouTube live. I just don't think it's right for me to break that news or talk about that if the player has not announced. So, okay, is OU set at running backs or should we take 1 or 2 in the portal? I think Oklahoma will probably look at 1 or 2 running backs in the portal just because I do think we're going to have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 running backs leave in the portal. And that's just going to be because I don't think they're actual – you'll know who I'm talking about when you see them hit the portal. The guys that I think that are going to hit the portal in the running back room, I don't think are fits for SEC style of ball. I think they fit well in the Big 12. I think they fit well like in the Pac-12 or whatever they're calling it now. But I don't think they fit well in like a Big 10 or an SEC style ball. Maybe in the ACC they'll fit. But you'll know who I'm talking about when you see them hit the portal. LOL, Ewers ain't coming back, man. Hey, listen, there's some smoke out there that Ewers might come back. So if he ain't happy, if he ain't a first round quarterback, he might be coming back. So I tell you truth, that's and his agent said he ain't transferring. So it ain't no DG situation, my guy. I'm sorry about that one. Sorry to break the news to you. Okay, he means Lewis Carter. Someone was asking if Lewis Carter going to hit the transfer portal. I don't think he's going to hit the transfer portal. I think Lewis Carter is here. I think he's going to be a starting linebacker for Oklahoma next year. Not even just a starter, but a guy like Kobe McKenzie, where he's probably going to get a lot of rotational run. So Lewis Carter is somebody that the staff absolutely loves. He's a guy that's a big hitter, and I think this is a guy that is probably here to stay for the long haul. What about the Liberty BC QB? Listen, you either get John Mateer or you keep Jackson Arnold. I think those are your 2 options. I don't think you're going after a transfer portal QB if it's not John Mateer. And I think you only go after John Mateer if Jackson Arnold decides to portal. John Mateer, Jackson Arnold, very similar quarterbacks, Jackson Arnold has a 10 times better arm than Mateer, guys. I'm telling you now, Jackson Arnold just needs a quarterback's coach, and he needs an offensive line. The offensive line is fixed. I think we have the ability to have a good offensive line going in the next year. But if Jackson Arnold is being able to be developed by Ben Arbuckle and the system is easy for him to learn, you could expect to see Jackson Arnold as your starting quarterback next year. And I think you see Jackson Arnold slinging that thing. All right. Air Raid worked for Leach, but Leach was an alien. Yes, Leach was crazy. But how many times did he win 9 games in Mississippi State? Does somebody actually know that? Like, how many times did Mike Leach have 8 or 9 wins at Mississippi State in the SEC? Is Nick Anderson transferring? Again, I'm not out here to break news. There's been rumblings. I think Nick Anderson stays. I don't think he transfers. If Nick Anderson leaves Oklahoma, I think he goes to go pro. And I don't think that's going to happen until probably next year. So the Nebraska defensive end would be a huge get. Yep, I think he's a guy that could play right away. Okay, cool. I'm kind of getting caught up with some of these now. Okay, is Jackson Bowers brother of Brock Bowers? I actually don't know that. And it's 247 247 usually tells you if they have a brother that's, or, a family member that plays pro ball or one that's currently in college football. I don't think they announced that he has, that his brother is Brock Bowers. So let me look real quick, because that would actually be intriguing. But he's a monster. Like, he's a freak. Like, Jack Bowers is 6'5", guys, 260. And the dude, like, when you go watch his film, like his high school film, yeah, he has a great catch radius. This is a guy that has the ability to potentially go be a mid-round NFL draft pick. So I'm looking at his 247 profile. I do not see anything in here relating him to Brock Bowers. But if you guys want to know what he's done in 2020, that COVID year in high school, 25 receptions, 330 yards, 4 receptions. So, or 4 receiving touchdowns. He obviously has a lot more than that throughout his high school career. That was just the only stats they have for COVID year. So he took an official visit to Washington. I would imagine they're probably going to try to pursue him. But guys, Jackson Bowers is a name that I would keep your guys' eyes on in the transfer portal. He just entered. So, all right. Stanford offensive tackle in the portal. A take? Yes, I think he's a take. Hey, homie actually followed me. So we're working on getting some information there, but I do think he's a take for Oklahoma if Bill Bedenbaugh wants him. I am curious, though, to see if Oklahoma actually takes any offensive linemen in the portal, because I think you've got a pretty solid returning set of offensive linemen. And the biggest problem that you had this year with offensive line was Sexton and Taylor not being healthy, being able to kind of anchor down your 2 tackle spots, but then also no continuity on that offensive line. Like, I think you guys saw it, right? When the offensive line started to get some continuity, the offensive line started playing better. So I think that's expected. And then if we look at it here, oh, the wife's bringing the baby in. Everybody say hi to Caitlin. Say hi to Griffin. Say hi to Griffin.
Griffin's the star of the show. Sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to say hi.
All right.
Here for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'll take it. All right, so Griffin's going to come join us for a second. All right, so offensive lineman, yes, Stanford offensive tackle. I definitely think that guy is a take for Oklahoma. And, yeah, I mean, I think Bill Bedenbaugh, if he takes anybody, I think it's got to be the kind of talent of like a Parker Brailsford, or it's got to be the talent of like a Caden Proctor. I think those are the kind of like talents that if they hit the portal, yeah, Oklahoma will take them. But I don't think they're just going to go out there and take offensive linemen this year. I really think they like what they have in this room. I think the 2025 guys come in here, they add some more depth. So I think we're just going to roll with what we got, guys. I mean, Logan Howland is going to be awesome at the offensive tackle position. I've talked about it so much, but his ceiling is super high, and Logan Howland is a raw prospect on that offensive line. So I'd say give Bill Bedenbaugh, give this offensive line another shot, give everybody a chance. I think it'll ultimately end up working out. All right, let's see here. Stevie Griffin says hi, even though she can't talk. Portal needs 1 cornerback, 1 edge. Actually, Michael, I would say probably 2 cornerbacks, because I would almost wonder if – actually, I'm not going to say that. I would think you probably have at least 1 portal casualty at the cornerback position, and I would imagine they're going to want to go in and replace Woody spot with somebody with size. And then I think you want to do what you did this year with Des Malone, where you get another guy kind of there for Gentry in case Gentry's not healthy or able to play it all next season. So just kind of keep that in mind. I think that's what we'll say. Never apologize for bringing the little one. Yeah, but yeah, no apologizing. Griffin, tell everybody what you guys think, what you think about OU football. You want to tell everybody what you think? Yeah, okay. That's what she thinks. She ain't super happy with it. So, okay. Okay, this has turned into a baby thing now. Okay. Answer the wing flavor question, PG. Okay. Where am I getting the wings from? Buffalo Wild Wings. I actually really like chicken beer down in the Plaza. I think this Plaza district down, or it's over there on 23rd. I like their gochujang down there at Chicken Beer. If you ain't been there, it's an unpaid advertisement for them. So if the people from Chicken Beer watch this, if you guys want to give me free food to advertise you guys on the podcast, like hit me up. But no, I love Chicken Beer. If you guys ain't ever been there, you guys totally should. It's a great spot for a Thunder game. Maybe even on OU football game. Like just stop by, get some wings. I have been wanting to try Tez Wings. I have not tried Tez Wings. Apparently J-Dub really likes that place. So, all right. How many are we looking for in the portal, and how many current not players do we need to? Okay. I would say, okay, so here's how you got to think about this, Lindell. Oklahoma's got to get down their roster size to 105. And you're taking in this class about 20 dudes, and you're graduating 19 dudes, and you're going to want to bring some guys in the portal. So I would imagine Oklahoma's probably going to process 10, 12 dudes, and then you're probably going to have an extra 5 to 10 portal casualties, just guys that weren't processed that just decided to leave. So, yeah, like there's like that's kind of how you got to think about it. And then Oklahoma will just have to fill those needs as they go. Like they'll fill them with PWOs and they'll fill them with guys at the portal. Great news. Thanks for answering my comments. You're welcome, Michael. I try to answer people's comments. I try to reply to you guys in the comments. But hey, I got a baby. So sometimes when I try to lay down at night and reply to y'all's comments, it just ain't happening. It just ain't happening. All right. Oh, did I hit your head on the mic? I'm so sorry. Okay. Ask her if JJF deserves to keep his job. Durag, I'm assuming you're asking this question because somebody asked me the other day if I had media credentials to Oklahoma, what would have been my first question to Brent Venables? And I said, well, my first question would get me kicked out of these press availabilities. I get my credentials taken away because my first question would be, how the hell does Joe John Finley still have a job at Oklahoma? Right? Because yeah, you think that's funny? How does he still have a job at Oklahoma? Yeah, like he, I don't feel like he's done anything. Like you have a guy, Nate Roberts, who's right down the road that, you know, you are at, like you had a chance to go out there and get, you could have been the leader, you could have been the front runner, and you missed him. So yeah, like I question Joe John Finley sometimes. I question his job. There is a chance of Hudson. Yes, there is a chance of Hudson. Florida cornerback, Georgia cornerback. She is being really loud, guys. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Georgia cornerback, I'm not sure. Have not seen the Florida quarterback hit the portal. Guys, it was a super busy day at work today, so I've got to go get off here in a little bit and actually check and keep up with what's happening in the portal and get some intel on what's going on today. Get Arnold out of here. We need okay, listen, man. Okay, I want everybody to understand this. Arnold and Mateer are very similar quarterbacks. I want everybody to realize that. Very similar quarterbacks. If Jackson Arnold had been Arbuckle as his quarterbacks coach and played at Washington State, he probably has better stats than John Mateer does. Jackson Arnold has the best pure arm in college football, in college football, right? Really great arm. You're not going to give that up. If Jackson Arnold wants to stay, I think Ben Arbuckle is going to take him. I think he's going to keep him. He'll be probably his best quarterback prospect. And that's saying a lot because he had Cam Ward at one point. What are we looking for in the portal, and how many on current roster do we need to shed? All right. Let's just say 20, 25 guys. Right? That's what you're looking to fill. You're going to shed 20, 25 guys, whether that's portal casualties or processing guys out, and you'll either have to fill it through the portal or getting guys on the recruiting trail for PWO. Yeah, Chuck, this might be the most positive I've ever seen you on my show. Yes, Jackson Arnold would be great in this system with John Mateer. You are 100% right. I also thought he would have been really great with Craddock, too. because I think Jackson Arnold really fits up a lot, or really fits a lot of sets. Jaden Rowe just hasn't been able to get healthy, and then hasn't been able to get back on the field. He just fell behind. Griff is amazing. Everyone like it for Griff. Hey, everybody wants to talk to you. All right, you ready to take her? Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm so out on Jackson Arnold. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, listen, like, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are out on Jackson Arnold. I really do think it's just going to be one of those things where, like me with Ben Arbuckle this year, right? I think it's just going to be one of those things where you're going to have to see him next year to believe it's really going to happen. And I think, all of us are having to put a lot of faith in Ben Arbuckle at some level here. For me, it's faith that, his system is going to work in the SEC. For you, if he keeps Jackson Arnold, it might be that he can develop Jackson Arnold into that quarterback that I think we all expected him to be. Popo is mad at the refs at the Thunder game. Listen, I'm going to be turning it on after I'm done with y'all, which is going to be here in just a second, because OU basketball is playing tonight. I actually was going to go and then had to go get a rental car. So if you guys see a silver Chrysler minivan driving around Oklahoma City, it might be me. I am officially a minivan dad for the next 2 days because, my car's in the shop, and it's been a total disaster. So, hey, if a car dealership would like to sponsor me and help me get in a new whip, I actually am looking for a new car. We got to get something a little bit bigger with the baby. So, cars are not baby friendly. All right. Watching the Mizzou game killed my belief in him. Listen, that Mizzou game was not like, that Mizzou game was on crack cocaine, methamphetamine, everything. And so was the Georgia Tech game, guys. So Jackson Arnold has talent. I've seen it. Yes. And you saw it in the Elite 11, which is the reason why he won that. There's a reason why he was the quarterback or Gatorade Player of the Year. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to be it for today. I'm going to get off here. I'm going to hang out with Griffin for a little bit. Wife's got to be up early in the morning for clinicals. Y'all, if you guys believe in praying, pray for her, because she's wrapping up school. So hopefully she'll get her LPN stuff here soon, and then I can get a raise and she can take off and go back to RN school. That's what we're win. So Thunder video win. You know what, Stevie? I can make one tonight. I can find something to make a Thunder video on. If you guys aren't aware, I do have a Thunder channel. It's called the Thunder Up Podcast. You guys go over there and subscribe for me. It'd really help me out there. And then we're going to be talking OU basketball on this channel, and we're going to be talking OU baseball and softball as well. So, all right. If you guys have not already, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you all next time.